welcome to Women's Wealth, the podcast with me, Joanne. My mission is to educate, inspire, and empower you all to step into your own life of wealth. That feeling of being so rich in your mind, body, and soul. I'm so happy to have you here. Let's get straight into it. Now, this week's podcast is inspired by a question that somebody asked me online. So obviously I've been sharing little bits about my toolkit. It's not launching for another 5 weeks, but I'm just dripping it out there, and it's perfect because I want people to ask questions, because that means if I've missed something, then I can answer the question. And I definitely missed this. And there is a reason, because so the question was, do I coach on diet and weight loss? And I'm actually making a posting later today about this, so you can go and check that out. I don't. I think that's why I don't always share about diets and weight loss, because I don't want my coaching programs to be just about that, because I don't believe that it's just a one thing that you can focus on, and which is why I believe a lot of diets and weight loss plans don't work, because they're not addressing your mindset. You need both. So that's why I don't just promote or share, oh, I can coach you how to lose weight, or I mentor you on diet plans, because I don't. It's a whole thing. What I do is guide people on how to improve relationships with food, how to love food, how to eat the food that they want. I've got a bit of pampas grass in my eye. I've been eating this way, and it comes under the intuitive eating umbrella. It's anti-diet. There's not a diet in there. It's intuitive eating. It's eating intuitively. And I will tell you what that means. I'm just going to give a little bit of background to my own, world of eating, dieting, whatever you want to call it. I've never really, that's a lie. I've never had, my struggles with my weight came from mostly when I was anxious and not eating well. So I lost weight. So my weight struggles were not your typical want to lose weight. It was more, I felt like crap. I was skinny, I was unhealthy, but I couldn't eat because of my anxiety. And then what I did eat was convenience food or fast food, because it was easy, and I don't know. I guess it was all part of my low self-worth at the time, that I didn't even feel worthy to have nice food, to cook nice food for myself, to spend money on eating nice food and nourishing my body. I've never actually reflected on that before, but I'm guessing that is why, because I had a chance to cook nice foods and healthy food, but I just didn't, because my self-worth was so low, and I guess that was another way of punishing myself. But just going back years and years and years and years, I do remember when my mum had the period talk with me, and I was adamant that I was not going to have a period. I must have been a teenager at the time, that's why she had the talk. And I do remember then really restricting what I ate, and I only ate, can you remember, they still have them, those pancakes, the Scotch pancakes? You know, the little small ones. I used to have them every night for my tea, and I'd only have a sandwich for my dinner at school, because in my head I thought if I didn't eat, my period won't come. I'm going to keep myself, because I was always small, I was late into puberty, so my thoughts were, if I didn't feed myself properly, I didn't starve myself, but I was controlling what I ate to try and put that off. So I guess that was maybe my first time of restrictive eating, which does come under disordered eating as well. And just reflecting back in my early 20s, and I'll see if I can find the photograph that sparked this. It will definitely be on my old Facebook account that I don't use, but I keep it open because there's loads of pictures on there. I went on holiday in Faliraki. It must have been 2004, and there's a picture of me and my friend on a boat, and someone said, "Look at your beer gut." And I didn't have a beer gut, but I did, but because I was slim, I had this beer gut, and that sparked, again, restrictive eating. I can remember at the time I was in university and I was temping So I was leaving, it was close to where I lived, and I would leave the temp agency at lunchtime to go home and eat cabbage. I was calling it cabbage soup, but it was just a bowl of cabbage because I was so paranoid about this beer belly. I'm guessing that trend, I can't remember ever ending that. It just did. I don't eat that anymore, but I remember doing it. I can't remember, think I'm going to stop this now. I'm guessing I got bored of it. But then from then, I think, again, not really a diet, but I would restrict and I would say things like, oh, I'm not having that, or I can't eat that, or that's unhealthy. And having these thought over eating healthily, again, to the detriment then of my body. I followed a vegetarian diet for years and years and years. I turned vegetarian when I was about 10, I think, to begin with, because I watched a program on abattoirs and I said to my mom, I'm going to be a vegetarian. And she was like, no, you're not, or you won't be able to do it. So I did it, and I was stubborn and I stuck with it. And then I dipped in and out of eating chicken, not eating chicken, eating fish, not eating fish, going back to chicken, going back to fish, just chicken, for years and years and years. And I'm guessing the times that I kept dipping back into the white meat was because my body needed it, but I didn't know at the time to listen. So the vegetarian diet, again, wasn't necessarily because I wanted to lose weight, because I've always had, I must have good metabolism. But it was restrictive, as maybe that I was a little bit scared to put weight on, but then thinking I was being healthy to the detriment of my body, which I call myself. So you may have heard of orthorexia, which is the obsession with eating healthy, but to the point where it's unhealthy. I would maybe say that I could have been on the borderline of that, but because I do have a sweet tooth, which I'll come on to later, I don't think I fully dived into that, but dipping my toe in and out of just making sure that I only eat healthy, only eating vegetables for a while, and and I feel like this is all societal, because again, I didn't need to lose weight, but I was scared of being unhealthy and putting weight on, and all of this pressure and all of this noise to eat a certain way, look a certain way, live longer, get your vitamins, get your minerals. I did actually go through a phase of skipping lunch and having a liquid lunch, one of those green things that were disgusting. It tasted like spinach and water, not spinach, stuffing granules in water. That's what it looked like as well. And again, just trying to right, okay, if I only eat this, I'm getting all the nutrients that I need. But then I would ruin all the health anyway at the weekend when I'd go out drinking and have chips, cheese, mayonnaise, kebabs, whatever, pizza, kebabs if I was eating chicken at that time. So reflecting, and you do the same, think about your own patterns and your own relationships with food over the years. I know now that I have healed my relationship with food and, weight, and I look at food very differently. And this is what I teach, what I share within my mentoring and the intuitive. I talk about intuition all the time. Intuition is so important, even when it comes to eating, even when it comes to what we're putting in our mouths. So let's dive into intuitive eating. And it is exactly how it sounds, says what it says on the tin. You eat intuitively. You ask yourself certain questions before you eat. Now, this isn't like a big questionnaire. It's just you get into the habit, and I'm going to go through the 12, not necessarily rules, because it's not a diet. It's very anti-diet, but the 12 points that, is it 12 or 10? I'll have to, I'll double check. So the points that it shares, and it's just reflection points. Let me open them up on my laptop. 9 principles. Number 1, reject the diet mentality. Number 2, honor your hunger. Number 3, make peace with food. Number 4, challenge the food police. Number 5, feel your fullness. Number 6, discover the satisfaction factor. Number 7, cope with your emotions without using food. Number 8, respect your body. Number 9, exercise, start to feel a difference. And number 10, honor your health. Now, none of those are difficult to do. All of those, what they actually promote is a love and understanding of what you and your body needs. When I started eating in this way, I think 4 years ago, maybe? Yeah, around 4 years ago. 5 years ago. Once everything else started to drop into place and I realized that, okay, I'm working on my mind, I need to work on my mind, my body and my soul, and what I eat, what goes in, comes out. And I had that understanding. This is now the way that I eat. You'll see me if you watch my last two vlogs, we've had pizza for the last 2 Saturdays. Before, I would be like, I can't have pizza again this weekend because we had pizza last weekend. And, just restricting myself from that little bit of fun. But then at the same time, I'd be going out drinking. So it was my body, my mind were just not in tune with each other. Okay, let's go through them now, one by one. Go into more detail, we'll break them apart, and then you can see how it'll fit into your life. Reject the diet mentality. Now, the main thing here is to know that the diet industry wants to make money. Actually, let me Google this. A quick Google tells me the global weight loss and weight management market size is valued, so this is US dollars, $224.27 billion in 2021, and is expected to surpass US dollars 405 billion by 2030. Oh my gosh. So it's not there. And similar sort of ethos with the big pharmaceutical companies who are there to make money. We don't need the diet industry. Again, this is something that we've been force-fed, that we need to follow these certain diets. We need to buy into these food packages, food diet packages, programs, whatever they're called, the weight loss, Weight Watchers, Slimming World, all of those things. You can do it without them, because what they are doing is they do restrict. And I've never done one, actually. I'm just saying this from my own opinion and from what I know. But anything that has red and green foods is not a good thing. You cannot live your whole life, because if you do start one of these, as soon as you come off, then you probably end up back to square one. The diet industry grows their revenue by convincing us that we need to spend money to get this information, to learn about food, to learn about our bodies, and to learn about what's good for us and what's bad for us. And again, we know that. We all know that a plate full of vegetables and some protein is better than a plate full of fried stuff. I couldn't think of anything then. We know that. We don't need to be forever chasing the right diet. Your body knows what it needs. So this is number 1 in the list, because we reject the diet mentality. We reject that lifestyle of I can't, and I know people personally that haven't been out for birthday lunches with friends because they don't want to put themselves in a situation where they're not going to order the food, or they can't order the food, or they're just ordering a side salad because they're following some crazy diet. Now, thousands years ago, before we had all of this processed food, this is how they would have eaten. They would have eaten the food that nourishes them, because that's all that they had, because they didn't have all of this microwave stuff and processed and fake, and so we're just going back to how we used to eat. And illnesses from ultra processed food. I read somewhere the other day that, again, this is in the US, because of the ultra processed food, 50% of their children are on some kind of medication for life. Now, that is, I think diabetes was the highest there. It's no coincidence that the pharmaceutical companies are also putting money into ultra processed food companies, because you're going to make the kids sick, you're keeping them on there, they are their customers for life. 2, honour your hunger. Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. And again, was kind of told or kind of made to think that sometimes we don't know, do you want to go for food? Oh, I'm not sure, I don't know if I'm hungry, but then you eat anyway. How many of you have done that? How many of you, and I do it still, sometimes, you know, I'll not perfect, go to the cinema and don't really need anything, I've already eaten, but then I'll get a huge popcorn because that's kind of the mindset of we gotta go, we need snacks. Now, that's okay once in a while, but if you're somebody who is trying to lose weight, how often are you falling into that trap of just having the snacks because you sat down watching a movie, and you know, you're going out and having the things instead of just questioning, like, right, does my body need this now? Am I actually hungry? Am I feeding my body, or am I just feeding a craving? And I'm going to come on to cravings in a minute, because cravings are interesting, but a craving that's sort of pushed on us. So just going to the cinema, like, we don't need to sit there. I wonder where that came from, eating snacking when you're at the cinema, because, you know, it gives us something to do with our hands, yes, but do we need it? And if you are trying to lose weight, can you reflect on that? Do you need the sugary snacks in the cinema? Can you take some things with you? And it's these questions, but again, not restricting yourself. So if it's a once in a while, do it, nothing. So when we honor our hunger, we listen to the signals that our body is giving us. So again, I do this, I'm like, am I hungry? And I'll have a glass of water first, because I think, or am I just thirsty? Am I just a bit dehydrated? Because a lot of the times I'll have a glass of water and then I don't need that snack that I was going to have. Or, you know, I'm not quite hungry, I'm not starving, you know, my tummy's just made a little bit of a noise, I can probably wait a little bit and then I will eat enough to fill myself, rather than just eating a bit. And when we respond to our body signals, we're honouring our body, we honour our hunger. Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. And before you eat, I'll have a glass of water, because sometimes we can mix the signals, the brain can mix the signals of thirst and hunger to, you know, they mix it. Sometimes our brains can mix the signal thirsty and hungry. So have a glass of water before you eat. It's also a really nice way just to clear out the system and kickstart your metabolism. I have a glass of water now. I've managed to get it into my habits. As soon as I wake up in the morning, I drink some water before I have my breakfast, before I have coffee, just to flush everything out. So I'm starting on a nice clean slate. Before I eat, I'll drink water. I also don't have water or a drink with me on the table. If I go out for a meal, obviously I'll have a drink and it's there, but I don't drink and eat at the same time. So when I've finished, when I think I'm full, I'll have a sip of water and then I'll just pause and I'll see if I am still hungry or am I done. And I'll obviously, if I can, if there's a lot left and I think I'm done, I'll wait a little bit, especially if I'm at home. I'll eat, pause, am I full, have a drink of water, wait 5 minutes, or save the food for a little bit later if there's a lot left. We don't have to finish what's on our plates. If you feel full, save it. And if that was a one meal, have a little bit more later. If you start to feel hungry again, just honor this. Because if you leave it too long and you're punishing yourself for being hungry, then you're only going to overeat. And then again, you're in that cycle of then you feel guilty because you've ate too much, and maybe you feel sick because you've ate too much and it's uncomfortable. So just allowing yourself to feel like, okay, I feel hungry, I'm going to have a glass of water. Okay, I still feel hungry, so I'm going to eat. And then eat nice and slowly. Try and not have too many distractions when you're eating. And I'll pause when I'm eating and think, okay, am I full? And if I start to feel that, I'll push my plate aside. Most of the time I give it to my partner. I'm like, do you want this? I can't eat it. I'm done. Sometimes it's like 1 or 2 mouthfuls, but then I remind, I don't need it. I'm full. I'm not restricting myself. I'm honoring my body. I don't need that last little bit. I'm really full, because if I have it, I'm going to have to lie down and I'm going to feel uncomfortable and my body. 3, make peace with food. So this comes back to what I was saying about not restricting your food. There's no such thing as a good and a bad food. I'm going to tell you in a minute why it's okay to eat chocolate, because it is okay. Now, a lot of the time when we have foods that we might see as bad is because it's a craving and it comes on suddenly. And as women, we get these a lot more when we're coming up to our bleed, and that's okay. Excuse me. It's okay to have a craving. It's not a bad thing. But then you can go through the process. Am I hungry? Is this a craving? Where is this coming from? Is it my bleed? Is it that I've just been for a run and my blood sugar might be a little bit low, which is why I'm craving a little bit of sugar? It's just understanding what your body is trying to tell you. Chocolate, got it written down here. When we crave chocolate, this means our body can be low in magnesium. So it's not just about the sugar and you want chocolate. Your body might be saying, oh, I need a bit of magnesium, please. Reach for some dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is high in magnesium. So have a square. I always have a bar of dark chocolate in the cupboard. And I think it's like 80%. It's a little bit bitter, but it does the job. And I know that if I crave it, which is not every day, that I'll have a square, and my body obviously needs that magnesium. And if you do struggle with reaching for the dark chocolate and then the double decker or the donut, now I have this, I crave when I'll be thinking about Krispy Kreme donuts, but then I'll have a square of dark chocolate and it takes it away. So I'm like, okay, I just needed the magnesium. What actually happens is if we reach for the sugary snacks, we need magnesium to help us to digest that sugar. So then if we are craving or needing magnesium in our bodies and we reach for the sugary donut, then we're actually going to then make our bodies have to work a little bit harder because we're low on magnesium and we didn't need the sugar, if that makes sense. So again, all of this comes once you step into intuitive eating, you'll learn, and it's not about reading labels, it's just about having that understanding. You don't need to look at the labels. So what else have I wrote here? So hydration. So if we're also craving certain foods, again, it could be hydration. Like I said, have a glass of water. See what happens, because it could just be that you're a little bit dehydrated. So yes, you might be thinking of Krispy Kremes or McDonald's, or you want to eat the pizza that's in the fridge. Have a glass of water, wait a couple of minutes, let it go through your system, see if you still have the craving. We do also crave salty foods. So you might crave, and again, I've had the cravings for, I don't have salt anymore. If I do have a McDonald's, no salt on my chips. But you might be craving, the salt, the McDonald's chips, that salt, or pizza or whatever. Again, this could be that you need the sodium. So again, have a little think where you can put this. You can pop a little bit of sea salt in your water. You've got the hydrolytes there as well. Sorry, the word escaped my mind and then came through. And the electrolytes. So pop a little bit of salt in your water. Or grab something that you know is a little bit salty, like celery, if you like celery. Celery, I think, is salty. Grab a bit of celery. And I know you're probably thinking, oh, celery over crisps. But again, if you're looking to intuitively eat and you want to nourish your body, you're going to go down the route that's going to nourish your body. This is a big one for me. So meat. I was a vegetarian, like I said at the beginning, for all of those years, and started craving meat throughout last year. And I listened because my body was obviously telling me that I was low, and it would have been iron, maybe vitamin D, maybe some other things that I needed that meat. My hormones were in balance. So as my hormones were out of balance, I wasn't craving meat, but my body wasn't equal. So it was all over the place. And eventually I got to a point where, okay, everything's in balance now. Now my body's telling me that she needs red meat. I was craving steak, so I started to eat it. I'm having steak today for my lunch after I get home from teaching my lesson. So again, listening, and I feel so much better for it. I feel like my hair is better, my skin is better. But again, choosing the meat that isn't deep fried. Don't go to KFC. Cook yourself a chicken, get a cooked chicken from the supermarket, reaching for the alternative to, if you're going to go to McDonald's, have a burger without all the trimmings. You're still getting the protein there. Or cooking your own burger at home so you can have that burger, having a piece of steak, again, so really thinking about what am I putting in here, because what goes in comes out, and it also comes out for your thoughts. So if your body is feeling crap and sluggish and you've ate crap, then your mind is going to be doing the same thing. You might crave cheese, so this could be calcium deficient. Now again, cheese is processed. It does have calcium in there, but there's other foods with calcium. So you can reach for spinach, and again, you might think, oh, that piece of cheese over spinach, but you're thinking about the nourishment in your body. But if one day you do just cut off a bit of cheese and have the cheese, do it. Do not restrict yourself. But then the next day, if it comes, you think, right, okay, I'm obviously low in calcium. I keep craving cheese. I'm going to put more spinach into XYZ or kale into XYZ. So it's about finding your balance. So again, going back to sugar, maybe one day you have the donut, but then the next day you think, okay, I'm still craving here. I'm craving sugar. Maybe I do need a bit of magnesium. So I'm going to have that dark chocolate, see what happens. I'll have a glass of water. And I know that sounds like prison, dark chocolate and prison. Prison food, one square of chocolate and a glass of water, but it's what your body needs. We also might start to crave fatty foods. Again, I'm just going to use McDonald's because McDonald's, I think, is everybody's sort of guilty sin addiction. When you're feeling crap, there's no coincidence that that's why we then go, oh, I really want a McDonald's when we're not feeling great, when you're hungover and you're dehydrated and you want that salt. Having a little look at other ways to get that fat, maybe, avocados, having an omega-3 supplement, eating some fish that's high in omega-3, reaching for some nuts, which are also good fats. So just learning about, okay, so I'm really craving this, what can I replace instead? So you're still eating something, it's just a replacement. But again, it's okay if you have a McDonald's, because you're not going to do that every day when you're intuitively eating. If you live an intuitive eating lifestyle, because you'll go, oh, okay, I had McDonald's yesterday, I don't need that today. It's not going to nourish me every single day. So hopefully this is making sense. So I've already spoken really about number 5, which is feel your fullness. When we get signals that we're hungry, we also get signals that we're full, and you'll know it. I get it when I go for a carb rate. Well, not so much anymore because, again, I've been following intuitive eating for a while. But as soon as I start to feel that feeling, and it generally happens if you eat too quick. So if you're eating too fast, you're not giving your brain and stomach a chance to catch up with one another. So then when you do pause, it's like suddenly. So the slower you eat, you're giving your brain time to go, okay, she's eating. And then when you get full, you notice that signal. And I did it at the weekend. I was so hungry when we got in from going to the creek, and we'd ordered the pizza on the way, and I was really, and because I'd not restricted, it was just that we were in the car, didn't have any food. So I got in, I was so hungry, had the pizza, I think I had 2 slices, and I was like, oh, you need to slow down. So I had a sip of water, and I waited a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes, just chatting, and then I continued, and then I was like, no, actually I'm full, and I saved the rest. Now, if I could have kept going, when I paused, I was like, oh my God, I really want to eat that next piece of pizza. But I know that I needed to, you have that uncomfortable burp, and you feel it in your chest, and your stomach feels heavy and hard. So just take a pause, check in with your tummy, ask it, are you full? How do you feel? And it might be that you pause for 5 minutes, have a sip of water, and then you go back to it because actually like, no, I'm not full. Or put it to one side, and, especially with, I think if you have a takeaway or things like pizza, you can put it to one side, come back to it later. You can do that with your evening meal, put it into the fridge, come back to it later if you still feel hungry. So if you have put in yourself one big portion, that might split into 2, save it for the next day, so you're not wasting food. Again, this wasting food, I always think about the scarcity of food. I remember there's children, starving children in Africa. So we're kind of programmed to finish what's on our plates because that's what we're told to do when we're kids. You can't leave the table until you've finished all of your food. Discover the satisfaction factor. Now this goes kind of together with what I said about, for me, the nutrition in food and looking at food as fuel, as nutrition. So even if you have grabbed something that would be deemed, again, pizza or McDonald's, splitting it into what it is. Okay, there's carbohydrates, there's protein, and allowing yourself to feel satisfied after eating it rather than guilty. And when you permit yourself to eat and enjoy food, you get the pleasure from eating. And this will leave you feeling more satisfied straight away. So instead of like, oh my God, I can't believe I've just said that, to, oh gosh, I feel really good after eating that. That was really nice. I really enjoyed that. So ways that I allow myself to feel the satisfaction in food. So I know I just said that I was really starving on Saturday and, I shoved the pizza down my mouth, but generally I will feel hungry. I have a sip of water just to make sure I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm still hungry, so then I'll eat. Because I'm not starving, I'm not like, give me that pizza. I eat slower, I enjoy it a little bit more. So I feel that satisfaction factor because I'm not like, get this in my belly. Take time to appreciate. Now, this is one thing that Joseph laughed at me because once I started to really tune in and appreciate my food and what it tasted like, I was like so shocked by, oh my God, well, I can't remember now what we were eating, but just noticing certain textures. And when we'd go out for food, like, oh my God, I love how the orange flavor works. And it sounds like, I love how this orange flavor works with the taste of the salmon. But just really, for the first time ever, I was like, this really goes together. Like, how does this go together? Who thought to put orange and salmon together? Who thought to put these herbs into this? And you can really taste the rosemary. And I'd never really done that before because I was shoving this food down my mouth and the food that I was eating didn't have that factor. Like, I love how it's crunchy on the outside and then you get in the middle and, and I'm just thinking about this sushi that we had and I was just like, oh my God, this is the night, so nice. And just really allowing myself to enjoy. Again, we went for Asian, I think it's like what's it called? Asian, Pan-Asian or whatever. And again, it was a meat and the sauce that it was in, it was ginger, and just really enjoying the flavor. So the ginger was a little bit spicy, but then the meat was, I never used to eat like that. I never used to really think this food is really nice because I was so consumed with, should I be eating it so quickly, not paying attention, maybe eating with the TV on. Like, I still do that sometimes now. Again, I'm not perfect. Especially if I'm in the house on my own, I'll put something on for background noise. But as best as I can, I'll have the TV low and I won't face the TV and I'll eat so I can really appreciate what I'm eating and allow myself that satisfaction. I'm just interrupting this transmission to bring you a little bit of Chihuahua and to remind you, and Dorothy wants to remind you, to please like and subscribe. So if you're finding yourself coming to my channel often, if you like what you hear, like what you see, every single like, every single subscription really, really means the world to me. I am planting this podcast seed, YouTube seed, with my bare hands from scratch. At the moment, that I am the editor, the creator, the director, the presenter. So every single little bit of support really means the world to me. It means that I can get on some more amazing guests, grow my podcast, grow my little YouTube studio so that I can bring more of what you like to hear. So thank you, and get back to the episode. Principle 7, cope with your emotions without eating food. Now, we've all done this. We all reach for food when we're pissed off, when we're angry, when we're sad, when we're depressed, when we're stressed, because it's one thing that we can control, it's one thing that we can reach for, and it's there. So again, thinking about, sometimes I get in and if there's been lots of traffic, I go straight to the cupboard where I keep my yogurt coated pecans and I'll want to shove loads in my mouth. I'm like, right, okay, just chill. Like, you're just a bit stressed out because of the traffic. So again, water saves a day. We need to drink a lot of water anyway. Have a sip of water, I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't need them. The amount of times I've been to that cupboard when I'm just bored as well. I know boredom isn't an emotion, but I'll go to the cupboard to get, so I have my little treat cupboard. So the pecans at the moment are my thing. Yogurt coated pecans, they're so nice. And I go to that cupboard, I'm like, I'm just doing this because I'm bored. I'm not hungry. I don't need this. I'm literally bored and I don't even know how I've got here. And we do it all the time. You might open the fridge and you look in the fridge. I'm like, why am I here? So again, have a glass of water, make yourself a warm drink, a herbal tea if you like herbal tea. Just something that is going to give you something to do if you're bored or if it's emotional eating. And use the question, am I really hungry? Do I need this? And then listen again, it's all about listening to your body. Intuitive, no, actually I don't. And then this is where your mind also comes in. So what am I feeling? Oh, I'm pissed off because I've just been sat in all that traffic, or I'm annoyed because that's happened, or I'm angry at this and this is so again, putting the label onto why you're reaching for the food. Like, okay, I don't need this. What I actually need to do is go and meditate and drink a glass of water or go for a walk and drink a glass of water. Principle 8, respect your body. Now this was maybe the one that, I don't know, I definitely didn't used to respect my body. And this one for me is how now I think, right, what am I putting into my body? Is this looking after my body? Is this going to help me in any way? And again, it's not about looking at the food and go, do I need this? And stressing out about it. It just becomes natural that, oh, I'm not going to eat that. Like, when you see as an adult, the things that kids eat, the blue things and the coloured things and the sweets and the sugar, and we know that we're not going to eat that. I'm like, oh no, I don't need that. It's that kind of thing. It's that, but with other foods. So you won't eat certain things because it's not good for you. You're not going to eat McDonald's every single day because it's not good for you. That is not going to help anything in the long run. So you already have this part of intuitive eating within you because you won't be eating those bad things. If it is that you are and you struggle to then have that conversation with yourself of, okay, am I respecting my body here? Am I loving my body with this food? But you're still going to eat the food, then this is where I would say maybe speak to a GP. It could be something else that's actually feeding this. So this is the part where people have, I can't help it. So if you don't have that link, just speak to your GP and just say that, I cannot stop eating these foods. And it could be that there is an addiction there. And that not that you're addicted to food, it's addicted to what's in the food. I watched or listened to a podcast and they were talking about, this is a very nutshell version of the story. So the same scientists that created cigarettes or used to work on cigarettes that got the addictive part of cigarettes, once they realized that cigarettes were bad, they were then same principles. I don't know if it's the same scientist. It wasn't like Dave, he transferred over. Like, come on Dave, you're going from cigarettes to ultra processed food. I don't think it was that, but similar, they were looking at the same things on what things we can put in food to make them addictive. And it's not the food that's addictive, it's the additives, I guess, that's in the food. I think additives is the right word, the chemicals that are in the food. And if you're listening to this and you think, oh my God, that is it. So it's about breaking the addiction to those chemicals. So then you can come back and then you can start to respect your body and think, right, okay. Because it's the same with anything that people get addicted to, alcohol, drugs, smoking, the additives in food. They're all, it's a craving. It's different from just craving sugar. So if you're listening to this and you think, oh, that's me, go and speak to your doctor. Now, it might be that your doctor, it depends on your doctor. You might have to look at it from a holistic and alternative point of view. Principle 9, I think is kind of linked. So feel the difference with exercise. So exercise, again, because you love your body, not because you're like, oh my God, I've got to exercise because I've had 127 calories today and I'm only allowed 120, so I need to burn these 7 calories off. That is not why you should be exercising. It links back to the love of your body. And I know a lot of people who use the Fitness Pal thing, and they're told on Weight Watchers you can only have 1,200 calories a day, so you're putting the calories in and it doesn't take into account like the natural calories you burn just for being alive and your heart beating, and then you're going for a run because it's a punishment, or you're going for a walk because it's a punishment and you haven't got 10,000 steps in. Exercise is also loving your body. So when you go for a walk, instead of it being a punishment, it's I'm keeping my hips healthy. This is helping me to keep mobile. I'm going to move. I'm going to be that 85-year-old woman that's climbing mountains because I haven't stopped and slowed down. I want to keep my body healthy. It's all in our mind. So when we love our bodies, we look after our bodies, we walk, we run, we swim, we do whatever we can. And if you're thinking I can't do those things, then go and start small, because eventually you'll be able to do them big. And exercise is not just for your body, it's for your mind, your body, your soul. Your mind and your soul. And again, this is something I touch on in my mentor program, that we have a workout. I don't call it a workout plan, it's a movement plan. What movement do you love, and when are you going to do it, and how is this going to help your body? Not, you've got to go to the gym 3 times a week and this is what you're going to do. I allow my clients to create their plan based on what they enjoy and what they love, because eventually it gets bigger. So if you're like, oh, I've only got time to walk 20 minutes a day, you'll start to see the benefits. You'll start to feel amazing and go, I want to walk. Instead of walking twice a week, I'm going to walk 4 times a week. And this happens, that people who I work with, they realize that I actually love going for my walk. So I know I said at the beginning, I haven't got time. I've only got 20 minutes. I can do 20 minutes a day. I started to walk for 40 and I'm doing 3 times a week. Now I'll speak to them again. I'm going every day. I'm doing an hour. And they just add on because they love it. I'm going for 1 run a week. I'm running and walking. I've started swimming. Or I've started yoga. And it's just, starts from, I can only walk for 20 minutes. And then they really hate doing that to begin with. But think about what you're doing. Listen to your favorite podcast. Put on a meditation. Nourish your mind while you're doing it. And the final principle, honor your health with gentle nutrition. So with this one, again, it's about thinking about your body. Now, so I'll give you my example. So restriction. So when I would be restricting myself, I'm just going to have a piece of toast because I've had too much today. And yeah, I'm just going to eat toast. I'm just going to have this toast. Now I would think, okay, so I'm just going to have this toast, but then I'm going to teach. So I'm going to be hungry after, then I'm probably going to go to the shop and get some snacks because there's nowhere to eat. But then I'm also not giving myself any nourishment there, like what's in the bread. So yeah, I'll get some carbs, I'll get some energy in the butter, but then I'm going to be starving when I get in. I'm not getting in until 9 tonight. So then instead of me just going, I'm just going to eat this toast and then punishing myself and being hungry and then coming home and eating crap out of the fridge or getting something from the shop on the way home, now I think, right, okay, no, I need more than that. So I am actually hungry. So I'm going to have beans on toast, or I'm going to have 2 slices of toast and I'm going to put some salmon on, or I'm going to have salmon on toast, or I'll make it into a salmon sandwich or something along those lines. Anyway, so you're asking yourself, okay, how am I going to feel after this? So 1 piece of toast is not really going to do anything. I'm actually going to be hungry. And then am I going to, is that me going back to restricting my body? Yes. And then I'm going to feel bad because I've restricted my body. So asking yourself, how is this going to make me feel? If you're reaching for the fast food, convenience foods, microwave meals, again, sometimes we have to do that. We're in a rush, We live in this world where convenience has become the norm. So we sometimes have to do that. But then if it's a day when you don't need to do that, like, okay, how am I going to feel when I eat this? Probably going to feel really bad. Not bad as in, so I'm probably going to feel like, oh, I shouldn't have ate that. And if you know that certain things are going to make you feel guilty, we don't want that food guilt, eat something that's not going to make you feel guilty. We eat to honour our mind, body and health. So again, if you are craving sugar, if you're in the supermarket, and again, this is me, like, oh, I'm craving sugar, I walk past the pick and mix sweets, and I used to just get a pick and mix to eat in the car. Now I'm like, okay, I've got dark chocolate in the cupboard, I can wait 10 minutes until I get home, I'm having the magnesium there, that's more nourishing than sitting and eating these jelly sugar sweets in the car, because I don't really need these, I don't need them. that's not going to do anything for me other than give me a sugar spike. And again, that's not restricting, because I'm allowing myself to have something when I get home. I'm eating something when I get home. I'm just not grabbing the stuff that I know is not going to do anything for me other than spike my sugar. So it's just about giving your body what it needs, not always what it wants. And again, the want generally comes from our mind and what we've been programmed to think that we want. So that's the 10 principles of intuitive eating. Hopefully they made sense, and I've tried to give some real life examples there as well. It is not a diet, it is just a way of eating, a way of life. It's not restricting. So again, if someone asks, I'm like, no, I don't coach on dieting. I don't mentor on dieting. I mentor on having an amazing relationship with food and how to listen to your body and listen to your needs and work on your mind-body connection, because it's all together, which is why this is just one module in my toolkit. So if you're listening to this and you'd like to know more, just reach out to me. If you'd like to know more about intuitive eating, just reach out to me. If you want the principles, just type in 10 principles of intuitive eating online, and you can screenshot them and just keep them on your phone. So if you want to start dipping your toe into this, you can just start there. That's what I used to do. I used to have it on my phone, and just as a little reminder, and it just becomes natural. But again, it might be that you're out at the weekend and you have all of the things, but because you're intuitively eating, the next day you'll think, okay, so I had a lot of sugar yesterday, my body doesn't need it. How can I nourish my body today? I'm going to drink a little bit of extra water, I'm going to eat some more greens, and if I've got a sugar spike, I'm going to help my body with X, Y, Z. And you don't need to be an expert in nutrition and macros and micros and calories and counting, because that doesn't exist here. It's just knowing. We all know the foods that are going to nourish us and the foods that are not so nourishing, and they're not good and bad foods. It's just nourishes a lot, doesn't nourish as much. Anyway, see you next week.